Hey, shalom, shalom, mishpocha. Welcome to another edition of Ray Bash's Ramblings. I'm your host, Rabbi Yehuda ben Shomer, and today I want to talk to you about the prodigal son, found in Luke chapter 15, verses 11 through 32. Now, this new Hebraic year we find ourselves in, I've been felt led and called to study the red letters, if you will, to review and study afresh the teachings of our Rebbe, Yeshua HaMashiach. He is the rabbi, the Rebbe of the Netzari sect, just as Chabad has Rabbi Schneerson, who's gone, who's passed away, just as the Breslovers have Rabbi Nachman, who's gone and passed away, and they haven't had another Rebbe since. We too, as Netzarim, have Rabbi Yeshua, Rebbe Yeshua, as our Rebbe, but yet he lives forevermore. He's not passed away, he's not dead and gone like Schneerson and Nachman. But I decided to look at his teachings and take everything that I know and have been taught regarding Yeshua's words and put them to the side to see if I can't put on a greater prescription of Judaic and Hebraic glasses to see Yeshua's teachings anew and afresh, to see if something will come out that I haven't seen before. And I'd like to share with you what I found in the story of the lost son and the prodigal son. We all know the story. The three main characters is the father and his two sons, one older than the other, and the younger one wants his inheritance now, and he wants to leave the homestead. That's not the life for him. You know, he wants to run off and join the circus, if you will. He thinks that there's greener pastures elsewhere and greater adventure elsewhere. You have the older son who remains at home under his father's teachings and tutelage and his rules, and he stays faithful to his father and to his father's teachings. And an interesting thing is that when he gave the younger son his inheritance, he also gave the older son his inheritance too. It says in verse Luke 15:12, and he divided unto them, plural, his living, his inheritance. So we all know how the story goes. The prodigal son blows his inheritance on riotous living, as the King James puts it, on unkosher, unclean, ungodly things, and he winds up slopping pigs for a living, finding himself in the lowest of lows in a pigsty, and desiring to eat what the pigs were eating because he was so hungry, because he just wasted everything. And each day, his father went out at the end of the property, and by the roadway where the caravans and people passed, and he looked in the horizon every day, hoping and wishing that his son would come home. And lo and behold, off in the distance, he sees a staggering silhouette. And as this silhouette comes more into focus into view, it's the emaciated figure of his son, in tattered rags, skin and bones. And he runs to him, puts his arms around him, and welcomes him back, much to the chagrin of his older brother, who's like, hey, what's up with this? How come you're welcoming this prodigal son back after he wasted your inheritance, and you're wanting to slaughter a fatted calf and have a party for this guy? What about me, Dad? I've always been faithful to you. I haven't gone against your commandments or your rules. I've stayed under your house and I've helped you all these years. He says, yeah, we thought your son was dead. We thought he was lost, but now he's found. Rejoice. And the son, in the midst of all this, he thought, man, I'm definitely not worthy to be called a son. I'd be just happy to be one of his servants. At least they have food to eat. He wasn't even planning on coming back and reasserting himself as the younger son. But yet his father was more than willing to do this. Now, I believe that this is a prophetic parable regarding the lost 10 tribes. All right, Rabbi Yehuda, you've gone too far. What's this whole lost tribe kick that you're on? Bear with me here. I think we've seen this story of the prodigal son only on one level. We've seen it only through one interpretation, through one dimension. And yes, it does deal with lost people coming to Messiah and people that are in sin coming home, and we know all the evangelical Protestant Christian teachings on the prodigal son. But look, the Jewish focus is on community first, the individual second. So first of all, we've got to see how this applies to the community at large. Who's the community? The church? No, Israel, because Israel is the church. They were the church, the Kehillah, the congregation that came out of Egypt and was in the wilderness. So we're talking about Israel here. And who is the eldest son? Okay, we know that the father is Hashem. That's obvious. Who's the older son? The older son is Judah. Because after Reuben had sinned and disqualified himself to be the older brother and to be the patriarchal leader of the family, this fell to Judah. And this is the lineage that Messiah came from, is Judah. And that's where all the kings of Israel came from, Judah. That's who has been the custodians and faithful observers and followers of the Torah. That's the Jews who come from Judah. They went into Babylonian captivity because of their disobedience and sin. But guess what? They repented and returned from Babylon, and they are who we know as Jews today. They're the older brother. Who's the younger brother? He's the other 10 tribes. He's the lost 10 tribes that went off into Assyrian captivity, into the pigsty of the world, and found himself in the midst of the pigsty of paganism, the midst of the pigsty of Gentilism. And he finally woke up and remembered who he was. Hey, I'm a Hebrew. I'm of Israel. I'm of my father. I want to go home. I'm so homesick. I want to go home. But I don't even know if my father is going to let me come back. But I know who I am now. I remember who I am. Maybe I can come back as a servant, as a second-class citizen. Let's put it in modern times here. Hashem is still Hashem. He's still the father in the story. Judah is the state of Israel, the religious Jews we know today. We have lost tribes that are petitioning for Aliyah, to be recognized as a lost tribe so they can make Aliyah to Israel proper, the land of Israel, the land of promise. And Judah scrutinizing them and saying, I don't know. Perhaps the older son said, Dad, you say this is your son. Yeah, this looks like my younger brother, but he's been gone so long. How do we know that he's not an imposter? He's just he just wants to get in on the good that we have. That's what Israel is doing to the lost tribes that are coming back. They're scrutinizing him. And the lost tribes know that the Father desires them back. They know that the Father loves them. They're not so sure about their older brother Judah. And some of these lost tribes, in coming back and petitioning to be recognized as lost tribes, they're like, I look nothing like my older brother. Maybe if I looked more like him, my older brother would accept me. And he would tell my father to go ahead and let me come into the house and be a part of the family again, that I could be a son. And so we have these lost tribes that are trying to look like Jewish knockoffs. I go to Africa and I see these Africans who are of these lost tribes that are dressing in black pants, black hat, white shirt, trying to look like Orthodox Jews of the West. They come off as a complete knockoff and wannabes. That's the way Israel sees them. Now, granted, a younger brother looks up to the older brother and wants to be like him. And when he's a little boy, he imitates his older brother. He hangs out with his older brother, pesters him, wants to be like him, wants to do and go everywhere his older brother wants to be and go and do. And that's noble and that's cute to a degree. But there comes a time when the younger brother grows up and he becomes a man himself and he has to step into his own. He can't look like his older brother. He's not called to be his older brother. He's called to be his own man. And the lost 10 tribes are not Jews. They're not called to be Judah. They're Hebrews. They're called to be the 10 tribes that they are, whether they be Gad, Asher, Naphtali, whoever. They're called to be who they are. Yeah, we all follow the same Torah. We all live under the same roof, under our Father's house. Therefore, we all keep the same rules, the same Torah, the same 613 commandments. But you know what? We're not going to keep it like our big brother Judah does. Judah keeps it one way because he's Judah. The other 10 tribes, they're going to keep it another way. They're going to keep the same commandments, but keep it in their own way because they're Hebrew. They're not Judah. There's enough wiggle room within the 613 commandments for them to be their individual tribe. I was this summer when I was or this fall rather, when I was in Africa, I was telling the Hebrews, I said, look, Jeremiah 6:16, the ancient paths, the old ways, walk in it. You're sitting here trying to look like the 18th to 20th century Orthodox Jews of Europe and of the Western world. What does that have anything to do with you? You're Hebrews. You're sons of Eri. You're sons of Gad. Look back in your ancient culture, and you'll find that your ancient dress is more authentically Hebraic than what the Western Jews are wearing today with their black pants and black coats. Be who you are. Be who Hashem has called you to be. When the prodigal son came home and the father greeted him with open arms, he didn't hold him at arm's length and say, son, how come you don't act like your big brother Judah? If you had acted like your big brother Judah, you would have never left me. How come you're not? No, he didn't ask, why are you not like your big brother? He was just glad he was home. He knew he was an individual. He was his own man. And he found himself. He found who he was, and he's coming back. And that's what it's all about, folks. And that's why I think the parable is a prophetic parable. The parable of the prodigal son is a prophetic parable about the return of the lost 10 tribes. Because they're coming home. In the state of Israel, the religious Jews are scrutinizing and saying, I'm not so sure we should throw a party for these guys. I'm not so sure they are who they say they are. We want to keep the Torah to themselves. Why don't they just occupy themselves and be satisfied with keeping the Noahide laws? And the Hebrews, the 10 tribes, are saying, no. You say that you're willing to allow us to come as converts, but we don't accept that because we're not converts. We don't have to convert to anything. We're Hebrews. If we accept the terms of coming back as converts, we would become Judah. We would not become the tribes that we are. We would be lying because we don't have to convert to anything. We're already Hebrews. We're already of Abraham. Why can't you see that? Why can't you accept that? Here is the proofs. Face it, we're not going to be like you. We're going to be what Hashem has called us to be. So I believe with all my heart that this is a new dimension, a new facet of the parable of the prodigal son, of the lost son, that is a prophetic parable of the lost 10 tribes. And as I said, Jeremiah 16:16 says that there's going to come a day when Hashem's going to call those to go hunting and fishing for these lost tribes and bring them back. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Shalom and Shabbat.